What is up, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Touchdown and Ties, the father-daughter sports podcast discussing football and everything else in between. I'm your co-host, Brianna, the daughter of this duo.
What up, everybody? And I'm Keith, her dad, the other co-host.
In today's episode, we're going to be wrapping up Week 8 of the NFL, but before we do, if you haven't already, please go ahead and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. That way you get updated whenever we upload an episode, and of course, it also helps us out as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, let's do it.
Let's start this week on a good note. Aaron Glenn and the Jets are finally no longer winless. They got their first win this week against the Bengals. I'm so happy for them and the team. They are finally in the win column.
I'm happy for AG too, man. I was hoping he would do his little dance on the sideline that he did, like week 2, week 3, whenever it was, when he thought that they were going to win that game, but he didn't do it. But I was very happy that he finally got his first victory.
Yeah, especially after all the noise and everything that has been going on, not even just this past week with their general manager or their owner, but just the season in general, just questioning Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn if his job is going to be on the line. It's like they got the win at the perfect time because they shut everybody up, which is amazing. And, and one thing I really looked up to was how vocal Justin Fields has been about his faith. That's something that I always admire in athletes, and then just giving credit to God when he does things in your life when you think that nothing is going to happen, and he shows up right when you need him to. And he got very vulnerable in his press conference. He's talking about he was crying in the closet, and basically he was down bad. And I'm just happy that he was able to give God glory when things weren't great, and then to give him the glory when things were getting better. So I hope that from here on out, it's just an up and up from them, and they ever just keep going, at least get some more wins, and the organization just give Aaron Glenn and everybody else a chance. I mean, it's going to take some time to turn some things around, and I hope it's not just like a one and out for him, and the Jets can just keep having some momentum as this season's going. And obviously it's a long way away, but consecutive seasons as well.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah,
I mean, just give them some time, be patient. They got their first win, so now hopefully some of the pressure is off and they can just play. Because they've been close in a few games before. Sunday's game against Cincinnati, just weren't able to get the win. But, now that they finally got that monkey off their back, so to speak, hopefully they can, stack some victories going the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So let's transition into who is objectively the best team in the league right now, which is Carly Ursay and her Indianapolis Colts. They are 7-1. I mean, coming into the season, into the AFC, you were not thinking that the Colts were going to be the lead. It was going to be, again, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, but the Colts are 7-1 right now.
And they really could be 8-0. I mean, the one game that they lost was to the Rams. When that guy, I don't remember his name now, but remember he tried to celebrate before he crossed the end zone and he dropped the ball.
Yeah, he dropped the ball.
Yeah, if they don't have that mistake in that game, the Colts could very easily be 8-0.
Oh, wow.
And also with the coach deciding in the preseason to bench Anthony Richardson and go with Daniel Jones, a lot of people were scratching their heads at that decision, going like
why?
Anthony Richardson was he was a number 4 pick in the draft. Daniel Jones is, not a journeyman at this point in his career, but certainly, he got released from the Giants, latched on with the Vikings at the end of last season, and then they released him as well. So, you're looking at that situation going like, you're going to choose Daniel Jones over Anthony Richardson. But obviously the coach knew what he was doing. He knew what he saw in training camp and throughout the preseason, and it's worked out for the Colts. And then Jonathan Taylor, their running back, is having an outstanding start to the season. I mean, right now, it's very hard for a running back to win the MVP. I think Adrian Peterson may have been the last guy last running back who did it. But Jonathan Taylor certainly right now will be in that mix. I think he has something like 14 touchdowns already this year, 12 on the ground, 2 receiving. But the Colts are playing outstanding football.
Yeah. I mean, does kind of like similar to the Heisman, I know it's possible that not always a quarterback wins the Heisman. In the NFL, does the MVP always go to the quarterback?
It didn't used to be that way, but recently here it has been. It's become like a quarterback's award. Like I said, Adrian Peterson was the last non-quarterback that I can remember to win the MVP. And that probably was like back in 2007, 2008, something like that. Since then, it's been Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. It just seems to have turned into a quarterback. Peyton Manning before then, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. So They can it can be done. It just doesn't happen that often.
Yeah. Well, shout out to the Colts. I mean, obviously they have a big culture shift. There are some things going right in the front
Yeah.
office and up top with their management. Like mentioned Carly, I mentioned her earlier. I love what she's doing. I know there seems to be some weird kind of hate around her that she's
Hmm.
micromanaging and on the field, but I like the fact that she's on the sideline, she's taking notes, she's listening to the headset, listening to plays. She's
Hmm.
invested into her investment, and clearly people respect her because she's around all the time. She's in the meeting. She's not overstepping and saying what people should do, but she's being an owner, and I think it's cool what she's doing with the team and how well they're doing. And as a woman in sports, I look up to the fact that she is able to
Hmm.
be in that kind of role. I mean, we talked about when you were here, I asked you were there any female commentators in the NFL, and I think it's cooler to be an owner than to be a commentator. So,
Oh yeah,
she
for sure.
I love that. And,
Yeah.
I watched Cam Newton's a clip from his show, I
Mm.
think it's 4th and 1 or something like that, but
Right.
he posed the question of, do women in heavily male-dominated sports, especially like the NFL, provide an element to the sport that they didn't know they needed before? And it was a rhetorical question, but I would say the answer is yes.
The only comment that I have for that is that if it's good enough for Jerry Jones, then it's good enough for her. Nobody has said
Yeah,
anything about him, his presence,
right.
all over the place for the 30 years that he's owned the Cowboys. So,
Yeah,
if it's good enough, if we're not going to complain about him doing it, we're not going to
yeah,
complain about her doing it. So good for her. Good
yeah,
for
I
her.
love
I have
it.
no
I
problem
love
with it
love
at
to
all.
see it. Yeah, I love to see that.
Yeah. What at this point, whatever they're doing is working.
It's
They're
working.
7-1. So,
Mhm.
keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, and not by fault of skill, like you said, it's just a crazy mistake, so
Yeah.
they're doing
Yeah.
well. They're doing well.
Absolutely.
Alright, another team that's doing well this season is the Broncos, and the Cowboys have not beaten the Broncos since 1995. The Broncos are currently
Really?
on a 9-game home win streak, winning 5 in a row. The Cowboys got
Really?
mollywopped.
Really? I didn't know that statistic. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
they don't play all the time, but
Yeah, they don't.
I
Yeah,
didn't
they
know
don't.
that. Yeah, I
Yes,
didn't know that.
they haven't beaten the Broncos since 1995, and we know how
Okay.
good
All
the
right.
Cowboys were in the '90s, so
Right.
that's
Yeah.
saying a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. The roller coaster ride for the Cowboys continues, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
started off the season with a loss, then they came back and they won,
Yeah,
then
they
they
haven't had back-to-back
lost.
wins yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just they can't seem to get any consistency as far as
Mhm.
winning games is concerned. But
Mhm.
the Cowboys overall. I mean, I know I've been a little harsh on the Cowboys, just mainly their defense, but their
Yeah.
offense is actually really good.
Yeah, this was
Uh,
Dak's first bad game
yeah,
of the season. I mean,
the
like you said, their
second. I mean, because
offense.
he threw two interceptions against the Bears back in week
Oh,
3,
okay.
but since then he's been on a roll. And
Yeah.
even with that, I mean, the Cowboys put up over 300 yards of offense, I believe it was.
Mhm.
Dak is been in the MVP conversation, if you will, for the early part of the season. They have a
Yeah.
really good running back in Javonte Williams, who's leading, at least he
Yep.
came into this week, leading the NFC in rushing. So their
Mhm.
offense is pretty good. I mean, they have two pretty good
Solid.
receivers with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. But the
Mhm.
defense, man, it's like,
Yeah. I mean, they gave up 27 points in the first half. I mean, you
yeah.
can't.
Like you can't expect to win games like that when you're giving
Yeah.
up that many points in one half.
Yeah.
And the thing about the Broncos, even though they have a good record, the offense had been struggling for most
Mhm.
of the season until the Cowboy game. It's like the
Yeah.
Cowboy game was their get right game on offense because
Right.
Bo Nix had like 4 touchdown passes. They had over 400 yards of offense, but up until this week, we hadn't really seen that
Right.
from the Broncos offense. So once again, the Cowboys defense struggling against an
Mhm.
opponent, and unfortunately for them, their schedule is tough. I think they have the
Yeah.
Cardinals. I think that's the Monday night game next week.
Yep.
And the Cardinals, despite their record, the Cardinals, I think they're 5 losses. I think they're 2-5.
Mhm.
All 5 of their losses have been by one score. So,
Yeah.
they're a team that could be a little bit better than their record indicates.
Mhm.
So it's going to be a big game. And then the Cardinals are coming off their bye as well. So
Right.
that's going to be a big game for the Cowboys, because they had their bye after this next
Mhm.
game, and they,
Mhm.
trying to get back to what was it? They're 3-4 now, I think 3, 4, and
Yeah, they're 3,
one with the
4, and
tie.
1. Yeah.
So yeah, they would like to get back to 500 going into their bye, but it's not going to be easy. I think Kyler Murray will be back.
He will be back. I did see that yesterday. He's anticipated to be back against that Monday night game against the Cowboys, and you talked about their consistency. They have the Cardinals and they have the Raiders. They have the
Right.
potential of getting some momentum and going up 5-4-1. But then the next couple of weeks, because then after that, they have a tough stretch. They have the Eagles, the Chiefs, and then the Lions. And a
Yeah.
couple of those games are going to be on the road. So that's
Yeah.
going to be a tough schedule for them. That's 3 teams back to back who are all
Right.
right now objectively playing pretty well. So
Playoff teams.
yeah, like you said,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I mean, right now the Cowboys could still potentially make the playoffs, but with the way that they're playing, with how inconsistent they've been, the immediate answer would probably be no. But if they can fix
Right.
things that they need to do on defense, then obviously they can make some changes because, like I said, the offense is not their issue. I mean, their saving grace this one game was George Pickens. But
Right.
again, I talked about this
Right.
earlier in the season. If it would probably behoove the Cowboys to go ahead and give that man a contract extension because
George
it's up
Pickens.
at the end of the year. So, but we kind
Right.
of know how that goes in Jerry's world. So we'll see if he actually
Yeah, I
keeps
don't
the
think
guy
that's
on
going
the
to happen.
team. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
I
think that's
mean,
going to happen. At least not during the season. Maybe during the
yeah,
offseason they'll work something out, but during the season
yeah,
I don't see that happening. But the
yeah.
trade deadline is coming up on
Hmm.
Tuesday, so maybe they're able to pick up somebody to help their defense. I mean, if only they had a guy like Michael Parsons. I mean,
If
that
only.
maybe they'd be a little bit better, but I digress.
I digress. Well, speaking of Micah Parsons, let's jump ahead really quick to the Sunday night game. The Steelers lost because their uniforms were heinous.
Yeah, they should
Not
never
be
wear those uniforms again.
not because Micah Parsons was, sacking the quarterback,
Yeah.
not because Jordan Love completed his first 20 possessions in the second half, and not because the Steelers defense didn't show up. They lost because those uniforms were absolutely horrendous. Look good, feel good is a thing, and they played horrible. That
Yeah,
is
I
my
hate those
soapbox.
uniforms.
I'm done.
I didn't. I don't like the Packers uniforms either, but the both of those teams have such traditional uniforms,
Yeah.
and now I think some of these alternate jerseys are just over the top. I mean, the Steelers. I mean, they should never wear those jerseys again.
Ever again.
They
Like
should
that
never wear
big
those again.
old
Yeah,
yellow helmet, like surely there's
yeah,
something better that we could have worn. There are only a couple teams that wear alternate jerseys that I like. One of them is Tampa Bay. I like their
yeah.
alternate jerseys.
They
And
old
then
school creamsicle uniforms.
yeah, those are
Yeah,
cute. I like those. And then there's one other team, I think maybe the Seahawks when they wear theirs, those are fine, but
yeah. Now
they look like
I do
go
like
ahead.
the Lions when they wear their black alternate jerseys. Those are
Well, yeah,
nice.
the black, yeah, but I'm talking
Yeah,
about these
those are
old
nice.
ugly throwback jerseys that these teams be wearing.
Okay, okay.
They should
Yeah.
never wear those traffic cone jerseys
Yeah,
ever
they were
again.
awful. They just awful.
Oh my
When I turned the
God.
TV on and saw that, I was so
I was like,
disappointed.
what is this?
Like, I want to see the Packers and the Steelers wear their traditional uniforms. I don't want to see this. This was not. I mean, the Packers weren't as bad as the Steelers, but the Steelers
He was
uniforms were
like
just bad, just
absolutely
bad.
terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in the NFC North since 1992 and with a minimum of 10 games played, the Packers have only had 3 quarterbacks, Favre, Rodgers, and Jordan Love. That is crazy,
Wow.
especially when you look at every other team in the division who's had what,
Right.
like 10 or 15 minimum, and
Yeah.
then you have
Yeah.
them that have had 3. So I don't know
Wow.
what's in the water in Green Bay, but they seem to know how to find quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. It's similar to the Pittsburgh Steelers in my lifetime have only had 3 coaches.
Oh, right. We talked about that before. Yeah, like
Yeah, they've only had
that's
3
pretty impressive
coaches.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that streak goes back even further than the Packers quarterback streak. I think since 1968, 69, something like that. I mean, the
Mhm.
Steelers have had 3 head coaches, so that's just crazy to me.
That's crazy.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
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 Yeah, pretty
Okay.
cool.
Cool.
And they've all won a championship, at least one championship. So that's pretty cool too.
That's
And
crazy. Yeah.
as far as the Packers quarterbacks are concerned, Favre won a championship, Rodgers won a championship. So, hopefully Jordan Love doesn't, because
Not
that
at
would
the
be,
expense of the Lions. I mean, the Lions
yeah,
not going.
exactly. Exactly. So good for them.
Good for
Good for
them.
them to have that level of consistency.
Aaron Rodgers missed his shot to make history and beat all 32 NFL teams. That would have been pretty cool.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, he wasn't able to
Yeah.
do that. That's
He
like
was
I said, I
outplayed.
yeah,
Jordan
as I
Love
kind of
played
alluded
incredible.
to it, I mean, he played a great game. His
Yeah.
second half, the first half was kind of slow because defense kind of kept up on both sides of the ball. Nothing was really happening. I want to say the Steelers had the lead going into the
They
second
did
half.
like 16 to
Yeah.
7, maybe
Yeah,
something like that.
it
Yeah.
was pretty close. It wasn't that far off, but
Yeah.
then Jordan Love, he completed his first 20 passes in the second half, and
Right.
then the Packers scored touchdowns on their first 3 possessions, taking the lead to 32-19. So
Yeah.
it was. I know you say you don't turn off games. I turned off
I
that
turned that
game.
one off. I turned that one off. When they went up, I think they went up like 29-19 or something. Maybe I turned it off
Yeah, I was
because
like,
you can
good night.
pretty much see that the Steelers' offense was dead at that point.
Yeah.
The defense couldn't stop the Packers. I mean, Jordan Love had almost 400 yards passing in that game. It was really a great performance by him. I mean, I don't watch every Green Bay Packer game, but that was
No.
one of the best games I've seen from Jordan
Jordan
Love.
Love play.
He was great in that game.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Steelers, you know, they're kind of like the Cowboys in a sense. You know, they just have a winning record.
Yeah.
You know, they had a great opportunity going into that Thursday night game last week. I think it was against Cincinnati. When they went into that game, I think they were 4-1 at the time, with an opportunity to really distance themselves a little bit between themselves and the rest of the teams in their division. They end up losing that game, and then they come back this week, and then they lose to the Packers. So now, you know, you look at that AFC North division and all those teams, you know, even though Cleveland's only won 2 games, even though the Ravens are only won 2 games, the Bengals have won 3 games. Well, the Steelers only won 4.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're all kind of like bunched right there together. So it's anybody's division. I mean, I don't think Cleveland will win the division.
Yeah.
But, you know, Cincinnati had a golden opportunity against the Jets. You know, I know we talked about that a little bit earlier with the Jets getting, you know, their first victory, but that was a bad loss for the Bengals. You're up 15 points in the fourth quarter. You had an opportunity to gain a little momentum with Joe Flacco as the quarterback. I mean, you could have, you know, evened your record at 4-4, but instead you lose to a team that had not won a game yet. So that helped the Steelers out in that regard because they didn't lose anything off their lead that they had coming into this week because the Bengals were not able to beat the Jets. So it's going to be interesting, man. Lamar Jackson is supposed to come back for the Ravens this week. They just beat the Bears, who were on a 4-game win streak. It was a big win for the Ravens, but it was a big loss for the Bears, who certainly, you know, without Lamar Jackson playing in that game, and coming off their bye week, you would think that this was an opportunity for the Bears to go 5-2 to win 5 straight games or whatever. But they didn't look good at all.
I mean,
coming off their bye week.
The defense made Tyler Huntley look like Lamar Jackson was out there playing. I mean,
it was surprising.
They had no pressure on him. I mean, too, with the Bears, I mean, they've had a lot of penalties and they've struggled with that week to week, but it doesn't seem like that's something that they're fixing or changing. I mean, they had 11 penalties for 79 yards this week.
That's a lot.
You know, I mean, you can't really credit their injuries to why they lost because the Ravens are injured a lot too, you know. So both teams
didn't Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, you know, you didn't have your quarterback, you know. So to say that one of the reasons that the Bears lost is because of injuries, like I get that they're down to their practice squad essentially in their cornerback position, but you also are playing a team who does not have a quarterback. So, I mean, it would be different if, you know, the Ravens were fully loaded and then you were down, you know, with injuries, but both sides did not have, you know, anybody playing really.
Yeah, it's week 8 of the NFL season. Everybody have injuries,
Everybody's
man.
injured.
So you can't use injuries as an excuse. You should have just played better, especially again, like I said, coming off their bye week. It was a bad loss. It was a bad loss for the Bears this week. It was a really bad loss for the Falcons this week against the Dolphins. I mean, my goodness, Miami had only won 1 game. That game was in Atlanta, you know, and they were just I mean, it was 34-3 at one point.
Wasn't it like 30-something to 3? Like they only scored and to only have a field goal against the Dolphins, especially like after the season that they've been having, like, man, at least put up a touchdown.
I mean, then a couple weeks ago, you know, they beat the Bills on Sunday Night Football. And you're thinking, okay, this Atlanta team, you know, they may be on the way up.
Pretty legit,
then to come back and I think they lost to the 49ers last week, and then to lose this game the way they did at home to a team like Miami, that's just a bad loss. It was a bad loss for them. And I already mentioned it was a bad loss for the Bengals too. Even though I was happy that AG got his first victory, that was a bad loss for the Bengals. They let that game slip away from them.
Yeah. The Vikings, they played this week, but their upcoming game this week, they're going to also be without their quarterback, or backup quarterback rather, because Carson Wentz is going to have surgery. So he's going to miss the rest of the season with his shoulder.
Yeah, he's done. He's done.
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy will be back.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty interesting with what's going on with the Vikings in their quarterback position because obviously you drafted JJ number 10. He's out because of injury. You cannot control that. Sam Darnold, who is doing well this season at the Seahawks, they're 5-2. They're first in the NFC West. Meanwhile, the Vikings are 3-4 and last in their division.
Right.
And they keep rotating quarterbacks. They can't. Somebody's hurt now. Now you're out with injury. Now JJ's coming back,
Right.
and it's just going to be difficult. Like I'm curious to see how JJ's going to respond because he's coming off an injury. This is essentially his fourth start in the NFL, and then he's going to be a third or fourth start, and then he's going to be on the road.
Right. Sam Darnold, he left in free agency, so they
Okay.
just didn't want to pay him no money. But what's funny about the Vikings quarterback situation is that they had Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
He left in free agency, and they
Right.
also had Daniel Jones
Oh my
on the
gosh.
team as well. And they just chose not to re-sign him, and then he went and signed with the
Obviously,
Colts, and we
Colts.
see what
Yeah.
he's doing now. So they had
Yeah.
Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones
Right.
on their
And
team
both of
at
those
one
teams are
point.
doing
And both
exceptionally
those
well
teams
right
are
now.
doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, but and unfortunately for our guy JJ, he just has not been able to stay healthy. He's missed, I think they said, like 22 of 24 games in
Yeah.
his career so far, which it's unfortunate for him. He'll be back Sunday against the Lions, so
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully he won't do well, but I'm glad he'll be back in the game.
Hopefully you stay healthy at least.
I want him to stay. No, I want him to be healthy. I like JJ. Obviously, I want him to be
Yeah.
healthy. I just don't want him to play well. I
Okay.
just at least not this week. I'll start rooting for him again next week with whoever they play, but I'm not going to be rooting for him this week.
This week or later in the season when they play them again.
I won't root for him 2 weeks out the season. I mean, and that's when they play the Lions.
That's real. I gotta respect it. That's real. That's real. Oh my
Yeah, I
goodness.
root for him when he played the Bears and the Packers and
Yeah.
whoever else they have on their schedule. But when he played the Lions, man, I hope he throw 5 interceptions.
Oh Lord. Oh goodness. Okay.
I do. Just how it is, man.
Yeah. Well,
How
what
it
about
is.
the Giants against the Eagles? That injury, and
Yeah,
I work in that field. That got me. His ankle was
yeah.
literally
Yeah, he popped that
that
ankle.
that was gruesome.
Yeah, and
Oh my goodness.
it has to suck right now being a Giants fan.
Yeah.
Just when you're starting to pick up a little momentum with
Right.
Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbull, this happens.
Right. And then on top of
And
that, Big Neighbors as well. I mean,
and then Neighbors is
come
already out for the
on.
season. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a gut punch for the Giants in that game. I mean, it kind of took the wind out of their sail a little bit after that injury occurred.
Yeah.
You could see Jackson Dart's reaction when he saw how bad the injury was to Scatterbull. I mean, I hope the kid recovers, come back full strength and is healthy because they had something. But
They
those
had,
two
yeah.
young guys in there, they
Mhm.
gave that team some energy. And
Yeah.
it's something that the Giants desperately needed. But,
Mhm.
unfortunately now he's going to be gone. Like we said, Malik Neighbors is already out. So hopefully those two guys can come back next year and be stronger and better than ever. But it was an unfortunate injury for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, the Eagles, they played well. Saquon
Yeah.
Barkley finally had his best game of the season
He
against
did.
the
He
home
did.
team. Yes,
His
the
minutes,
Eagles look good.
he was utilized a lot in that game.
hmm
Did AJ Brown play on
He was out.
Sunday?
He was out.
Okay.
He was out
Okay.
Sunday, yeah. But the Eagles played overall. They played well.
They play well, yeah. So hopefully they're starting to see some things with them, on offense. I feel like that's 2 weeks in a row that they've had pretty good games on offense, which is
They
something that
did.
they've obviously been talking about all season. And this person's lack of production here in the red zone and close call games and stuff like that.
Yeah, they play the Lions in a few weeks, so hopefully they'll go back to sucking like they did the first few weeks of the season. So
Isn't that a Sunday night game too?
it is a Sunday night game. I'll be there. So yeah, I'm looking
You
forward
will
to
be
that.
in
Yeah.
Philly. I'll pack myself in
looking
your
forward to that.
suitcase.
My first time in Philly, so I'm looking forward to that
Oh,
game.
there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Get your Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah, hopefully the Eagles will suck. It's
I
not
hope
my
that this is
first time going to, and this is probably going to be a controversial take here. It's not my first time going to Philly. This will be my second time going to Philly. The
Okay.
first time I went to Philly a few years ago, I went to a Sixers game. So it'll be my
Okay.
first time in Philly to go to a
The
football
Eagles game. Yeah.
Yeah. And while we were there the first time, we had a Philly cheesesteak from Geno's.
You didn't like it?
It was horrible.
Oh, not horrible. Jeez, you could have
It
just said
was
it was a height.
No, it was 6 of us there for that game, and we all was, we gotta go to Gino's. And we went there, and it was horrible.
Yikes. Maybe you should try a different
Yeah,
place because people in Philly might be, well, you were,
yeah,
that's why it was nasty. So maybe you should go on,
yeah,
TikTok and look up, what are good places to get a
yeah.
Philly cheesesteak. Because I highly doubt that every single Philly cheesesteak place in Philly is nasty.
I'm not saying that, all the Philly cheesesteak in Philadelphia is horrible. I'm just saying that particular
Pickle of
night
time.
when we went to Gino's and got a Philly cheesesteak, it was the 6 of us. And at first I thought it was just me,
Mhm.
but to a man, everybody was just like, man, what's the hype? This is horrible. I couldn't finish mine. That's how bad it was.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
they're not cheap. So
Right.
hopefully, this time around when we go back, we can find, a place that has better cheesesteaks. Or maybe Gino's just had a bad night that night. Who knows? But,
Maybe.
I
Maybe.
would be willing to give them another chance,
Yes.
but that
Don't go
particular
there. Go
night,
somewhere else. Find you somewhere else and see
yeah,
what the locals are saying to get into and go there. Don't go to
yeah,
the
it
tourist
was
spots or things because that usually doesn't work
right.
out too well for anybody.
Yeah, it was underwhelming.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gino. It was just underwhelming. Like I said, maybe just had a bad night, but
Yeah.
you only get one time to make a first impression. Is that what they say? So,
That
but
is true.
it,
That
it,
is
it was
true.
just not good. So hopefully, I'm going to be on the prowl in 3-4 weeks whenever that game is, looking for a
Mhm.
good Philly cheesesteak. So we'll see.
There you go. All right, let's wrap it up with the Monday night game, the Commanders versus the Chiefs. Honestly, it's not much to talk about there. I mean, you always talk
Yeah.
about that this is the time of the year that you want to be playing your best football, and the Chiefs are playing their best football right now.
Yeah, the Chiefs look pretty good right now. I mean, they don't have the best record in the AFC. I mean, they're probably like 5 or 6 teams that have a better record than Kansas City right now. But the Chiefs are probably like, no disrespect to those other teams, the Chiefs right now are probably the best team in the AFC. I mean, Pat
Right.
Mahomes once again is playing at an MVP type level.
Yeah, he's
The
playing incredible.
defense is top 5, top 10 defense. They got Rasheed Rice back, and the offense have all of a sudden taken it to another level. I mean, the Chiefs are just rolling. I mean, Mahomes threw 2 interceptions in that game, but the one with Kelsey was not his fault, but the other, Lattimore made a good play on that one or whatever. But
Yeah.
I mean, he still came back in the second half and threw 3 touchdown passes, 4 touchdown passes, whatever it was. The Chiefs are looking really good. And on the other side, the Commanders, a lot of expectations coming into the season after what they did
Yeah.
last year, but it's been a struggle. They've already lost as many games this year as they did last year. Jane Daniels has missed several games. Again, the Lions play the Commanders in a couple weeks, so hopefully Jane Daniels don't play in that game too.
I hope this is not bad karma. You wishing all this bad luck and bad juju on these teams now. Settle down.
I just want my team to do well, and I figured
Okay.
they could, if these guys aren't playing, then they have a better chance of winning. So that's just now I'm just
Oh my
playing. I don't I want the Lions to win games, but I want them to win games when the other teams
are
are playing their best
competitive. Yeah, and
being
they're playing their
competitive. I'm just
best.
joking. I'm just having fun with it or whatever.
Yeah, oh
But
my goodness.
yeah,
No,
but
I started giggling when you said Rasheed Rice because you see that prison graphic they had up. I mean, they almost missed the snap of the next play when what's his face was reading it off because it was so long.
it was so long. Yeah, the dude has a long rap sheet in just 2
My
years in the
God.
NFL. Yeah, hopefully from here on out he can stay out of trouble, man. Just
Hopefully. I mean, he's
keep
gotten
getting
saved so many
defensive
times.
trouble
Don't
on the
push your
field.
luck. I
Yeah.
mean, geez.
Yeah, he was very lucky with that last incident that he had, obviously with the accident. I mean, somebody
Yeah.
could have gotten hurt or killed in that
Yeah.
situation. So, thankfully that didn't happen. And, hopefully he learned his lesson from that. He's a good player. The
Well,
Chiefs
yeah.
definitely a better team with him on the field than without him on the field. So hopefully, he learned his lesson. He matured a little bit and, can stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's literally all it is. I mean, dude, come on now. You got to be better, not putting people's lives at risk. You can put your own life
Right.
at risk, but don't be putting everybody else's lives at risk being dumb. So,
Right.
yeah, but that just made me laugh because I was just like, dude, what the heck? That was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping that he again, like I said, he learned his lesson and he can stay
Yeah.
out of trouble.
Yeah, and then hopefully the Commanders can turn some things around too, like you said, maybe after they play the Lions.
Yeah.
But because they were so good last year. I mean, I know they have
Yeah.
they have
It's
injuries.
hard.
Marcus Mariota is not a
He's not
great.
Jane Daniels.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not to compare the two, but he's not Jaden Daniels. So
Right.
and they have some other injuries and things like that. But again,
They have a lot of
everybody
injuries,
has injuries as
you know.
well, and then it gets
And
to a point. You just have too many. You can navigate some, but it gets to a point where you just have too many. You can't do anything about it.
it's
But
hard to overcome, a bunch of injuries that when
Yeah.
you have a bunch of injuries on your team, it's just hard to overcome it. We saw the Lions do it last year, but that was the exception, man. I mean, normally when teams have that number of injuries, it's particularly like with the Lions, they had it like in one unit or their defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to overcome that. So that's, the Lions doing it last year, this guy should be given a little bit of credit for that, but it's just hard, man.
Mm-hmm.
Backups are backups for a reason.
Right.
It's
No
hard
offense
to
to
go get
anybody, but
guys. Yeah, I mean, there are no scrubs in professional sports. I think we talked about this once
mm-hmm.
before. There are no scrubs in professional sports. I don't care what you say. They're just different levels to it.
Right.
But backups are backups for a reason, right? And so when
Yeah.
you lose too many of those guys, it's gonna reflect in your performance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just tough. I mean, Marcus Mariota, he's a very good quarterback, but there's a reason why Jaden Daniels is the
Is
starter.
starting, yeah, not him.
And not to put the loss on him. I mean, he didn't do anything egregious in the game that cost them the game or whatever, but they just didn't make enough plays.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they just didn't make enough plays. And when you
Mm-hmm.
play on a team like Kansas City, you
Right.
have to be at your best, especially when they're playing their best.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be at your best. And unfortunately, we saw Debo with that pass that deflected off his face mask that
Mm-hmm.
led to the interception. When you make mistakes like that against Kansas City, they're going to make you pay for it. And that's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So, hopefully JD will get back in the game next week. I think they played Seattle. I think Seattle is the
Okay.
Sunday night game, maybe.
I think you are correct. I want to say
Yeah, I
that is
think that's the
right.
Sunday
Yeah.
night game. So that's going to be a
Yeah.
tough game. And then they play
Yeah.
the Lions after that. So they have 2 tough games coming up.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, if the Bears can do it, the Lions can do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Any given Sunday, man. I mean, every Sunday is different.
Yeah.
It's all about matchups, man. Every Sunday is different. So, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. Well, that
Yeah.
was week 8, and I that was a good week. I mean, even though every game pretty much was a blowout, it was still some good things to talk about this week. So I'm pretty surprised that there was a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
next week
all.
we got
That's all I
Detroit and
got.
Minnesota, and then the
Yep.
late game is Buffalo and Kansas City. So
Oh, they play each
that'll
other.
be 2
Okay.
games. They play each other this Sunday. Yeah, that's the late
Nice.
afternoon game, the 4:30 game.
Okay.
So looking forward to see those
Perfect.
2 games. Yeah.
Perfect. I
So
will be locked in at 10 o'clock
yeah,
and then at 4:30 or 5:15.
right. Yeah, me too.
There you go. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this episode up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, as always, if you are not already following us wherever you listen to podcasts, please go ahead and do that as it helps us out as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will catch you guys in the next one.
All right. Thanks for watching. Stay here till we get back.